Welcome everyone to the Judiciary Committee hearing this Tuesday morning. We do have a 2-minute time limit on testimony, both on Zoom and in person. So on Zoom, there's a little countdown clock, and there's usually a little buzzer that will go off at your 2 minutes. If we have a catastrophic technical failure on the Zoom side, we will recess to February 8th, 9:31 in this room, 016. That's Thursday. We haven't never had a catastrophic meltdown, so hopefully this isn't that day. All right, first, the one item on the 9:30 agenda is SB 2392. This specifies that election ballots issued by the chief election officer or county clerk shall exclude any candidate who is disqualified by constitution or statutory provision. First up on SB 2392 is Reese Nakamura, Deputy Attorney General. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Rhodes and members of the committee. Reese Nakamura, Deputy Attorney General. Our department has previously submitted.
Back row, can you hear? No. Okay.
Deputy Attorney General Reese Nakamura. Our department has previously submitted comments and suggested revisions, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next is Thomas Berger, Supreme Court Staff Attorney, with comments. Michael Galoyu Sr., Secretary for Rainbow Family 808 and support. Oh, he's on Zoom. That's the next one. Hi, Michael. Michael Galoyu Jr., Chair and SSC Representative for Stonewall Caucus, the Democratic Party. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator. Good morning, everybody. Michael Galoyu Jr. on behalf of the Stonewall Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, we stand in full support of this measure. It's a shame that it's something that should have been on the books already. You violate the Constitution, you do insurrections, you attack our government, you do not get to be on our ballots and run our government. So we encourage you to pass this bill out. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up is Tamara McKay, State Chair for the Hawaii Republican Party. On Zoom, or?
They're unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
You here in person? No. In opposition? Next is Abby Simmons, Co-Chair Legislative Committee, Democratic Party of Hawaii, on Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning, and aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and esteemed committee. My name is Abby Simmons. I'm the co-chair of the Legislative Committee of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, and I am testifying in support of SB 2392 on behalf of the party. We believe government officials should be held to the highest ethical standards as required by Article 14 of the Hawaii State Constitution. We stand on our written testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next is Jamie Detweiler, Hawaii Federation of Republican Women, in person. Good morning.
Aloha, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, and esteemed committee members. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Jamie Detweiler, President of the Hawaii Federation of Republican Women. We stand in strong opposition to SB 2392. The Federation is committed to building leaders, energizing communities, and protecting the integrity of our electoral process. There is no reason to amend Chapter 11 of the Hawaii Revised Statute by adding a new section, Part 8, documented in SB 2392 on pages 2 and 3. This bill proposes to give sole power to the chief election officer and clerk to decide who will be disqualified. This is tyrannical, to say the least. In order to disqualify a candidate under the 14th Amendment, you have to follow a federal statute on insurrection and rebellion, a criminal statute, get a criminal conviction with a judge and a jury. It must also stand up to appeal before it's even considered. There are similar legal rulings in Colorado and Maine, which found that Mr. Trump is ineligible to hold public office based on the 14th Amendment. Oral arguments in the Supreme Court are about to be heard on February 8th. With all due respect, Chair Rhodes, since you stated that you introduced this bill with Mr. Trump in mind, let me be clear that he has not been convicted, nor has he been charged with insurrection. There is no evidence of committing insurrection, so please don't waste our time on this poorly written piece of legislation. Our resources should be spent on cleaning the voter rolls, conducting paper ballot audits, and maintaining ballot security. Please do not take action that would result in depriving the people of Hawaii of their right to vote for the candidate of their choice. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Next up is Jason Wolford on Zoom. Jason Wolford on Zoom.
Unfortunately, they're unavailable on Zoom.
In opposition, next is Holly Plackett, Legislative Committee for League of Women Voters of Hawaii, with comments. Next is Librado Cobian.
I submitted testimony. I stand behind my testimony.
In opposition.
In opposition, yes.
Thank you. Chinara Casey Richmond. Good morning.
Thank you, Chair. I am Shanara Richmond. I am opposed to SB 2392. The true essence of this bill is not about the upcoming 2024 elections, and it's not even about Trump. It's using Trump to trick people. Even though it does mention presidential candidate further down in the document, if you look at the core statement and delete the references to the 14th Amendment and Article 16, the real bill that you are voting for is election ballots shall exclude any candidate who is disqualified by actions against constitutional or statutory provision. Everyone here needs to understand it's not what's in this bill that's important, but what's not in this bill. For example, the word convicted is nowhere to be found, which means a candidate can be disqualified simply by being accused. This bill does not explain the process as to how, when, or even if candidates will be informed that they have been removed from the ballot. Also, this ballot doesn't state who exactly makes the decision to disqualify the candidate. However, since the accused candidates are required to prove their innocence to a panel of 3 unelected government employees, all who serve the governor, it's not hard to connect the dots. This bill will give the governor the power to accuse and disqualify any future candidates on our ballots. And it imposes a guilty until proven innocent precedent on the people of Hawaii to deny electors their right to vote unless they sign a pledge and stating twice that they are not allowed to vote for a candidate who is dead is sickening and unconscionable. The only good thing about this bill is that your vote is public record. This bill has backed everyone into a corner. And finally,
Thank you very much.
the Hawaiian
Next-
people will clearly
Your time
see
has
who
expired.
believes in
Next up is
democracy
Shannon
and who
Mendiola.
is gaslighting their constituents by
Mendiola.
using the word democracy
Look, everybody
to
gets 2
describe
minutes. Your time is
Marxist
finished.
totalitarianism.
Would you please sit down. Shannon Mendiola. In person in opposition. Vernell Oku. In person also in opposition. Allison Lopez on Zoom.
They're unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
In opposition. Gail Reyes. In opposition. Manuel Antonio on Zoom.
They are available on Zoom, Chair.
They are or are not? They are. Good morning. Need to unmute.
Hi, my name is Manuel Antonio. I am in opposition of this bill. It makes absolutely no sense to me, but it just points out the bias over here in Hawaii that is against our president and all conservative and Republican Party members. It's awful strange to me how they claim that Trump is this evil man, but last I checked, during the Trump presidency, he never got us into any wars. The economy was doing just fine prior to COVID, and everybody was impacted by that. Everybody calls Trump an election denier, but as soon as he got elected, Representative Al Green filed an impeachment process back then. But everybody's memory is so short and they forget all these things. Hillary Clinton is still saying that Trump never won and that she's the real president. But, you know, it's just ridiculous, this whole thing. And it's obviously pointed at Trump. They're just using this, you know, legal mumbo jumbo to say that it's not. But everybody knows it is. And, you know, when the election comes time around, and then you guys will be pissed off because he's going to end up winning again. You know, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Alika Valdez. Alika Valdez on Zoom.
They're unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
In support. Peggy Regentine. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good.
My name is Peggy Regentine, and I am here to.
If you want to stand up, pull the mic closer and pull the mic up to you.
Want me to sit down?
If you, I prefer so people can hear.
Okay. My name is Peggy Regentine, and I want to express my strong opposition to Senate Bill 2393, which is currently under consideration. As a concerned citizen and voter in Hawaii, I believe that this proposed legislation poses significant risk and challenges that could negatively impact our state. There are many positions that I hold, but I firmly believe that the current proposition fell short in achieving desired outcome of the right to vote. Here are some key reasons I urge you to oppose this. Civil liberties and personal freedom, lack of public input, unintended consequences for our state. I believe that State Bill 2392 requires further consideration of the people of Hawaii and how we want to vote before it is even considered for enactment into law. I strongly encourage you to vote against this bill and to engage in a more inclusive dialogue with the community of the people. Thank you for your consideration, and I certainly hope that you will oppose this.
Thank you very much. Next is Margaret Lim. Margaret Lim in opposition. Alexandra Lum. Good morning.
Dear honorable members of the Judicial Senate Committee, aloha.
Aloha.
My name is Alexandra Lum. I am a native Hawaiian voter residing in the downtown district here in Honolulu, and I strongly oppose SB 2392. I mean, let's be real. We all know what this bill is about, and it's about one person in particular. But I also want to state for the record that I believe every single person on this judicial committee knows why this bill exists. And it's way more than just someone believed to have caused insurrection. In actuality, it's not just about one person. It's really about the voting rights of hundreds of thousands of Hawaii citizens. SB 2392 empowers a body to eliminate a political opponent straight away, bypassing we the people's voice, which is our vote. This bill negatively affects us all, the hardcore MAGA people and even the never Trumpers. People from both sides will be stripped of their right to vote or not vote for the candidate of their choice. I have friends who can't wait to not vote for Trump, but this bill threatens to take away their right to make that choice by simply eliminating the choice in the first place. Some people will do anything to make sure their side wins, but a righteous win has to be done in fair and righteous way. Any other way is not pono. The spirit behind this bill is not righteous and infringes on the rights of voters here in Hawaii to choose their candidate. SB 2392 is meant to be used as a weapon to unjustly get that win. That is why I humbly implore you to do the righteous thing. Vote no on SB 2392. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is William Iaella. William Iaella. In opposition. Next is Toalua Tuasosopo. Also in opposition. Next is Sheila Medeiros by Zoom.
They're unavailable on Zoom.
In opposition, Rami Donahoe, also on Zoom.
Yes, they're available.
Great. Good morning. You're still muted. Okay, there you go. Morning.
Is it my turn?
Yep, your turn. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Aloha, this is my first time. Aloha, Chair Rhodes and committee. Mahalo for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. I strongly oppose this bill. This is taking away my right to vote for the candidate and any candidate that I desire to vote for. There are only a few reasons why I can see someone would desire this bill to go through. The belief that Mr. Trump might have a fighting chance to be elected as a Republican candidate and may even win the presidency. I can guarantee that he will not win in a blue state of Hawaii in the 24 election. We all know this, but yet it seems like Senator Rhodes may believe that Mr. Trump has a huge chance of winning. Mahalo, Senator Rhodes. The other reason is that Senator Rhodes might need some type of validation. The only reason why the state senator would do this is for his own relevancy. We all know that statistically, Republican nominees who are consistently losing by 30 to 70%, or even 20 to 80%, we can safely say that Mr. Trump will not get the votes he needs to become the president with Hawaii's help. Will not happen. Please, Senator and committee, you are important without taking away my rights. This is not brave to submit this bill. It would be brave, however, if you are in a red state and submitted this bill, not here. Please, please allow me my freedom in Hawaii to vote for the candidate that I desire. This is a huge overreach and is trying not only to ban Mr. Trump from being a candidate, but also trying to disqualify other candidates in the future from running. I condemn this bill and pray that this committee will make the right decision concerning my rights, our rights. Mahalo for allowing me to speak today, and mahalo in advance for making the right, righteous decision to delete this bill, SB 2392. Mahalo. Aloha.
Thank you. Next is Corinne Solomon. Corinne Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Rhodes, and good morning, committee members. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to testify. This bill is not Pono, and I pray that you objectively and thoughtfully review the context of this bill before you make your vote. The first page of the bill, the introduction reads that the purpose of this act is to specify that election ballots issued by the chief election officer or county clerk shall exclude any candidate who is disqualified by A, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, B, Article 16, Section 3 of the State Constitution of Hawaii, or C, another constitutional or statutory provision. State law cannot give the states authority to supersede federal election qualifications. The Constitution's text explicitly vests in Congress, not the states, the authority to enact enforcement of presidential disqualification. Empowering state courts, the chief elections officer, or county clerks to decide disqualification under Section 3 is inconsistent with the constitutional design. Section 3 only disqualifies certain categories of people from holding office and not from seeking office. Clause B, with regard to the Hawaii State Constitution, states that no person shall hold any public office. This clause also should be scratched from this bill, as it does not prevent anybody from seeking office, just holding office. And Clause C, another constitutional or statutory provision. This is a blanket law that allows the chief election officer or county clerk to disqualify a candidate from appearing on the ballot. There is another legally problematic section of this bill, and that's page 2, section 25. and I quote, "Prohibit electors of presidential and vice presidential candidates from voting for any presidential or vice presidential nominee who has been disqualified pursuant to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment or as determined by the state Supreme Court in an election contest."
Time has expired. Next is
States
Sidney
cannot
Godfrey.
make that decision. Thank you very much for allowing me to testify.
Sidney Godfrey. Sidney Godfrey. Good morning.
Yes, I'm Signe Godfrey, and I stand in opposition of this SB 2392. And Chair Senator Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, and committee, Americans have fought hard for freedom. And as history shows, we fought the Revolutionary War for 5 years to be separated from England. We worked 10 years to create the Constitution. And as Americans, we work daily to treat each other equally and fairly. This bill is a dangerous precedent and takes away my right to vote for the presidential nominee of my choice. And while the bill does not state President Trump, Senator Rhodes, in your interview, you said you had President Trump in mind when you wrote the bill. My freedom to choose whom I want, who the people want, is at stake here. And since President Trump was on your mind when you wrote the bill, you are taking away my right to choose. It is very personal to me. And at my age, I feel threatened with having my rights removed. In taking the oath to this office, Senator Rose, Senator Gabbard, you vowed to stand for the Constitution, and hopefully you both pause and consider what you are doing is inequitable and unfair to the people of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gary Cordery. Okay, we'll catch him later. Heather Dozier in opposition. Blanca Larson. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Blanca Larson. Thank you for, I feel honored to be in front of you, but I oppose to this bill. I have submitted already my bill online. It was accepted, and I just rather give my time to someone else. Yes, I oppose this bill.
Okay, thank
Aloha.
you.
Mahalo.
Next is Evan Mokuahi Hayes. Good morning.
Aloha.
Oh, no.
Thank you for having me today. So today I'm coming before you just not as a concerned citizen, but as a defender of our fundamental democratic principles. I'm opposed to this bill. John Adams issued a warning, and he said, remember that democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. Senator Rhodes, I believe with this bill that you are holding again to the head of democracy, and your finger is poised on the trigger. This bill is under the guise of protecting our electoral process, but it undermines the very essence of democratic choice and engagement. It seeks to preempt the will of the people, to silence a segment of our electorate, and to set a dangerous precedent that could be used to justify further erosions of our democratic norms. The power of voting, the power of voting to choose our leaders is the most hallowed right in a democracy. It is a right that many have fought for, I fought for, some of my buddies have fought for, got blown up for, and we find ourselves here now. That right's a cornerstone of the democratic societies around the world. History has shown us that time and time again that the suppression of votes and the denial to the right to stand for public office are actions that belong to an authoritarian regime, not a democracy. The bill in question erodes trust, stifles debate, and most critically deprives the people of Hawaii and their right to choose their leaders. Democracy thrives on choice, and the ability of the electorate to decide who represents them based on a full spectrum of candidates, not a curated list approved by a legislative fiat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I will call other people, so don't hang on until I'm done with my next announcement here. So that's everyone who signed up to testify in person or on Zoom. In addition, there were a whole bunch in opposition, 328 total in opposition, including the ones who have commented, 4 comments and 14 in support. Okay, at this point, I'll open up to anybody else who wishes to testify who's here or on Zoom. Okay, we'll start here in the front and then we'll go way back there.
Going to find the lady that can finish your thing. Can I read the rest of your thing before?
Okay, I need someone to testify. I don't have, who's next?
Okay,
Who's next?
I liked what you were saying and you ran out of time. So I was just gonna finish it. Did you want to go? No. Okay. Hello, everybody.
You've already gone, so
Oh.
this is somebody. Go
My
ahead.
name is Francine Kuhn, and I am in strong opposition to, gotta read it right because, you know, it's getting documented, to SB 2392. I'm in strong opposition. I consider this election interference at the highest level. And I would just like to say that when we walked in here, your first words out of your mouth is, wow, I didn't know this was going to be a catastrophic meltdown. And you said it. It's on, it's going to be.
Not what I said. You can go back and look at the tape. I
Okay,
said,
tell me.
I hope today is not the catastrophic meltdown.
And what does that mean?
That if the Zoom crashes, we have to go to another day and we have to end the hearing and go to a different day. It's never happened before. Hopefully today is not the day that we have a catastrophic meltdown. So far we haven't. Go ahead.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. There's been a lot of firsts with this administration. So yeah, that would explain a catastrophic meltdown. Yeah, because actually the January 6th committee does not have the Secret Service tapes from that day. Everything's been deleted, so that I would consider a catastrophic meltdown. So that makes perfect sense that you would have catastrophic meltdown on your mind, because that's been the status quo for this current administration. So again, at the end of my time, I will just say I am in very strong opposition to SB 23-92 because I consider it election interference at the highest level. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Someone in back? Does someone in back want to testify? Oh, wait. The person in. Okay, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and committee. My name is Eric Eck. I strongly believe in the democratic principles by which the Republic of the United States of America and the state of Hawaii were founded upon. And therefore, if we are going to remove the ability of the citizens of Hawaii to vote for the candidate for which they want to vote for, we are in opposition to those democratic principles, and we should call ourselves a dictatorship. So I strongly oppose Senate Bill 2392. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll come over here and then we'll go over here and then, oh, you still want to, okay, you're no in the back, come on up. I called on you before. And then I'll get, yeah. Go ahead, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, committee. My name is Walin Christian and I live in your district. At any time did I not recall you knocking on my door to ask me if I agree with this bill that you proposed. So which means what I can tell is that you never asked the people that you represent that they want to do this bill. I strongly oppose this bill, and there's several reasons. Number one, if we live in a free nation, we have the freedom to vote for who we want to. It is not your choice to tell us who can be on the ballot and who cannot. If Trump is to win, great. I believe in Trump. If Trump doesn't win, then we deal with that at that time. When someone puts a bill like this up for announcement, what you're doing is you're telling people that you're afraid that this person may win. That's a problem. Then that means you are not fighting for the people. that that interview that you did, and you said that you believed that you had Trump in mind, that should already tell the people that you are no longer fighting for the people. You are fighting for yourself. And that is also another problem. I believe you go up for re-election in 2026, everyone. So you need to rethink who you're voting for. I'm going to read something that was given to me. SB 2392 drastically changes Hawaii law elections. Hawaii election laws. Many of the changes are unlawful and directly violate the United States and Hawaii state constitutions. There is no second or third committee referral for SB 2392. This law was written by the committee chair of JDC and referred to JDC for hearing and decision making. One committee should never have the authority to completely rewrite multiple election laws written by the committee chair of that committee. This person wrote, I pray that the members of the the Senate Judiciary Committee objectively and thoughtfully review SB 2392 and do not allow it to pass. I oppose this bill.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Rhodes, committee, and fellow supporters. My name is Trinity Avila. In opposition of Bill SB 2392, that is, I feel, is highly insulting and disrespectful and spits in the face of all your constituents as well as the general public on the grounds that you are stepping on the rights and freedoms afforded to the citizens of this state and country by taking away that freedom to vote and choose, which ironically they exercise to put you in office. And in return, you are saying we are not intelligent enough to understand for ourselves who we should not vote for by removing someone from a ballot on unproven or unconvicted grounds, but based solely on accusations alone. My family and I have sacrificed 25 years in service of this great nation to support and defend these freedoms from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and will not sit idly by and let this bill take that from me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is James Butler. I kind of just prepared a little bit here as we were talking. I trying to compare this to a few things that's going on with the United States. Is that in Colorado you've got their Supreme Court made their decision based on the preponderance of the evidence, which is the primary level of evidence or evidentiary finding you have in your bill. However, that's just opened the door to merely more than an accusation that could be made, and then all of a sudden that's good enough for them. That's pretty much what the Maine Secretary of State did. There was no finding of guilt of insurrection by Trump or anybody else in there. That would be the beyond reasonable doubt, and that would be suffice. When the Colorado case, their Supreme Court goes to the United States Supreme Court and gets found to be unconstitutional, what would that have as an effect for this particular bill? Recommendation would be just to wait until the United States Supreme Court makes that decision, and then you can make your adjustments to this particular bill forthwith. Also, if you're going to apply this to Trump himself today, you passing this bill basically is an ex post facto, because insurrection is a crime. Therefore, this is an ex post facto application or penalty to his particular right to run for an office. Major problem with voters can also be nullified by this. The voter themselves, I noticed, was also listed as a possibility being nullified if they're found to be insurrections or insurrection. That means everybody that was on the January 6th, no one was found guilty of insurrection. They were found of rioting, having problems, I believe. Anybody help me on that one? Okay.
Thank you.
That's
very
about
much.
it. I do have
Thank
that.
you.
I thought they were important points to bring up.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Sure, come on up. Good morning.
Morning, Chair. How you guys doing? My name's Edward Aquina, O-E-Q-I-N-A, grew up here.
Sorry, you need to get a little closer to the mic. Thanks.
I grew up here about 1 mile away from this Capitol. I came here today, I had a whole speech, I crushed it up because I wanted to see everybody's face. And I don't know, a lot of my colleagues here already said the major points. But Trump was never convicted of insurrection. I don't know of an insurrection that's ever had, in the history of America, that's ever had an insurrection without weapons of any kind. We've ignored the left, we've ignored you Democrats for all these years of burning down buildings, supporting BLM, supporting Antifa, freaking taking cities over. And then you continue to say Trump, who actually asked our people to leave the Capitol, to it's kind of frustrating. You know, a lot of my people, my family, my mother included, didn't want me to come here today. I love her, God bless her. She's fighting cancer right now. But I am here today to say, you taking away our rights to vote, whether you hate Trump, you know, you already know Hawaii, the odds of Hawaii winning for Trump or voting Trump is slim, because I don't know who's tallying the votes here. I don't know who's counting. I've never saw votes being counted, but you know, the chances of it happening is slim. So why would you do that? My question to you, Mr. Rhodes, do you know our state motto right now? Can you say it?
If you want to spend your time asking me okay, your time's expired. Thanks very much. Next up,
Be Pono.
Answer the question.
Do you know it? Do you know our con? You don't. You're from frickin' you're not even from here. Where are you from? Fucking Missouri? No, it's
all right. Anybody else want to testify on this measure? Yeah, come on up.
That's our motto.
Probably from Michigan or something.
Morning.
Hello, my name is Derek Costa, and I'm opposed to this bill. First of all, it takes away our freedom to vote, and I'm up here more emotional than anything, but don't forget the soldiers who died for this country. My wife's uncle served 3 tours in Vietnam. My father served 1 tour. He fought in the Korean War. 2 of my uncles fought in the World War II, and they made it back home alive. I thank God they fought for our freedoms here. Don't try to take it away. People fought hard for this country. Don't forget that. That's all I ask. Let us have our freedoms to vote. Don't forget those people ever.
Okay. Thank you. Sure, come on up. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. I'm Paula Dozier and very opposed to Senate Bill 2392. It has the potential of targeting individuals in such a way as to preclude the legitimate inclusion on a ballot in a free and fair election. Every and only legal voters have the option of voting for the candidate he or she believes to be best at fulfilling the office for which the candidate is to be elected. You are precluding that opportunity by this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we go on, just for those who are here for the 9:45 and 10 o'clock agenda, we will try to get to those as soon as we can, but we do have other testifiers on the first bill. So did I see someone back there? Yeah, come on up. Good morning.
Aloha, my name is Kim Cordery, and I'm very opposed to this bill. This bill
must be rejected on these grounds. The fundamental right of the voters to choose a candidate of their choice. This does not allow that. This bill creates a subjective process where 30 disgruntled citizens can petition the Office of Elections for the removal of the ballot a candidate that they feel is not qualified under ethical considerations to hold the office. This is not based on law, rather the ability to influence the Office of Elections. In addition, this bill provides a statutory exemption for the Supreme Court to hear and appeal based on jurisdiction. Though veiled as a protection of the people from disqualified candidates, this is a direct assault on Mr. Trump. The problem, Mr. Trump has never been charged with Article 14, nor convicted of any crime which would remove his name on the ballot. Therefore, this bill is unconstitutional and should be dismissed without review. The stated desired effect of this bill is to ensure lawful candidates is already written into Hawaii law. This bill adds nothing to that existing law. On the contrary, this bill is divisive. Its result will be an electorate outraged and further disenfranchising hundreds of thousands from participating in the election process. We are told every vote counts. This bill by design to ensure every vote will not count. In fact, those who prefer a candidate of their choice will be constrained by the Office of Elections. This office is already under severe ethics scrutiny from within its own committee and the public at large. Why empower an appointed commission to determine which candidate is qualified? This is why we have the current law. This is another attempt to control the election process. This committee must reject this bill. Even though its author is the chair, the legislative process must uphold the law. This will take courage by your constitution, by your constituents demand integrity. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify? Anyone else wishing to testify? Going once, going twice. Come on up, or if you can. You can do it. Okay, great.
Sorry, I lost the ball.
Good morning.
Aloha kakahi aka. My name is Haunani Kahea, and I live on the north shore of Oahu. I come from Hau'ula, and I'm a farm girl. And I just want to let you know that I learned about this yesterday, and I tried to get my testimony in 5 minutes. I think it got in because my daughter was doing the thing, but was 1 minute late. So I want to let you know that I am opposed to this bill. House Bill 2392. I don't know why we're following other states that want to do this. It's not pono. It's not right. It takes our rights away. Like my husband said, he's an army man. He fought too. My dad, Korea, my uncle, 3 tours in Vietnam. I talked to my uncle. My uncle is like, I don't know what's going on with our country. But President Trump was not found guilty of insurrection. I have always growing up trusted my government. But because of what is going on nowadays, I have no faith in my government. Can you guys please help us to have faith in our government again? I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Republicrat. Okay? So let's do us pono. Let's do us good. And you know what we gotta do too? We gotta get back to the Lord. We really do. Inside me, I'm upset. But I was praying this morning that the Lord would help me keep my cool, keep my composure, and that the meditation of my heart and the words of my mouth be pleasing to Him.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very
Anyone
much.
else like to testify? Going once, going twice. Any other testifiers? Come on up. Good morning.
Aloha, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come in out of order. I couldn't get here at the earlier time. My name is Gary Cordery. We have 2 minutes, is that right?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes on such an important topic. I oppose this bill for a number of reasons. First of all, the right for the citizens to cast a vote for the candidate they prefer is fundamental in our society. The idea that a legislative bill, this particular one, being offered to empower the Office of Elections to determine who's a credible candidate. I know this is supposed to be an idea that this is for future scenarios, but we all know this is a ruse and this is about President Trump because of the Article 14 insurrection element in the bill. Mr. Trump has neither been indicted nor convicted. Therefore, the very idea of this bill being put forward is mute. In addition, the current law in the state of Hawaii already addresses the issue, the concerns in this bill. I've traveled the state in the general election. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of voters. Their feedback was almost unanimous. They feel like their legislated body does not listen to their will. It is without, I'm assuming without discussion that the opposition to this bill is widespread. In addition, most people have a hard enough time getting themselves up to vote. People do not vote. This bill will disenfranchise the voter. We say we're about voters. We say we're about voter integrity. Yet we're going to authorize the Office of Elections, an organization which is under scrutiny for ethics issues on a regular basis. Yes. This group is going to in turn receive feedback from 30 disgruntled voters.
Thank you very much.
May I finish, please? I have a request for 1 more minute.
No, I've never broken the rule. Neil Abercrombie was in front of me and I made him talk for 2 minutes. So
okay, fair enough. I oppose this bill.
Anyone else wishing to testify? Good morning.
Aloha, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, and members of the committee. I didn't intend to testify on this. Oh, my name is Nikos Leverins. I served on the Commission to Improve Standards of Conduct, and I'm testifying here in my personal capacity. I didn't mean to testify in favor of this bill orally. I did submit written testimony late, but I congratulate you for introducing this modest measure to help secure the integrity of our electoral process. It seems like a lot of people here are very fine with stochastic terrorism, which we saw on January 6th, the Stop the Steal movement, with the Proud Boys, with the 3%ers, with the Oath Keepers. Exactly. If you want to look at a government practice that is very suspect, I encourage you to stick around for the hearing on civil asset forfeiture. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members' questions?
Office of Elections.
Oh, are they here? Office of Elections here? I don't think so.
Okay, then no questions.
Okay, other members? I do have a question for Ms. Detweiler, if you're still here. So the federal Constitution has several restrictions on who can run for president and other offices. If a presidential candidate who was 14 years old decided they wanted to run for office, would we have to give the voters the opportunity to let that person run?
That's not the issue, sir. We're not talking about a 14-year-old. We're talking about
it's a
our right
hypothetical.
to vote.
It's a hypothetical. So you would have the right to vote for a 14-year-old.
It's not written in the law right now, as far as I know. It's irrelevant. We're not talking about that.
Hang on. If you have to be 35 years old to run for president. So if you're 14, we disqualify you from the ballot. If you were born in Kenya, for example, you're not a natural born citizen and you're not allowed to run. So what's the difference between that and the other part of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, that says if you're an insurrectionist, doesn't say you have to be convicted, but says you're an insurrectionist. Why would that not disqualify you from running?
Well, as you said yourself, sir, you stated the qualifications in order to run for president. So going back to your original question, the answer would then be no, according to what you just stated. But what I'm talking about here is our civil liberties and our right to vote. And the person that you had in mind, that you stated on the media, Mr. Trump, has not been charged, nor has he been charged. He has not been convicted.
He hasn't been convicted.
He has not been, according to the federal statute. So I'd love to debate you on this, but the facts are clear. So I did answer the question, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Attorney General, are you still here?
Afternoon, Chair Rhodes and members.
Is it afternoon already?
Oh, good morning.
No, it's still morning. Okay, good. So you guys suggested some amendments to the bill that would take away the district court's role in determining, making the determination. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that, is it typical for a case like an elections challenge case to go directly to the Hawaii Supreme Court?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you think your amendments then would be, consistent with the practice for other election challenges?
Correct. That's the reason we put it in. We want it to be consistent with the traditional election challenges, which we will get for other state and local races and non-presidential races. So we just wanted to make sure it was consistent.
Okay.
And it goes there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other questions, members?
Yes, sorry.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Deputy Attorney General, could you come back since we don't have the Chief Elections Officer here? Yeah. If you know, don't we already have a process for disqualifying candidates? Because I remember when Calvin Say's residency was questioned, and it seemed that we already have a process. Don't we?
We do. The elections office would be better at answering your question, but we do have, and in reference to the Calvin Say situation, I think it originated through a Board of Registration complaint, as I recall, and it went through there was some investigation through that process, which is initiated by the counties.
So even if we didn't pass this bill, there's already a process, isn't there? I don't know. I was hoping the Chief Elections Officer, but it seemed to me that there were other election disqualifying, like residency type thing.
Right. Those were the types, the Calvin Say situation. I think it was a residency issue. This presidential issue would be different than that. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a residential, so. I would have to defer to Office of Elections.
You can't answer. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me follow up with that though. But the something like this wouldn't go to the Board of Registrar. So
no.
Right, yeah. Thank you. Other questions, members? Okay, thank you very much. If not, there's only one item on this agenda. So if you guys are ready to vote, we'll vote. Okay. Recommendation is, let's see.
No.
Okay, on SB 2392, which we've been talking about for some time now, our recommendation is to pass with some amendments.
You don't even know the motto of Hawaii State motto. You don't even know it, so you're a fucking clown. Bye.
We'll accept in the entirety the amendments proposed by the Attorney General, the Department of the Attorney General, align the language relating to presidential challenges with language relating to presidential electors. Since the state Supreme Court has. Okay. We'll accept in its entirety the amendments proposed by the Attorney General's office. This would align language relating to presidential candidates with language relating to presidential electors. Since the state Supreme Court has original jurisdiction of election contests, we'll revise the bill so that contests go directly to the Supreme Court rather than the district court. We'll insert language clarifying that some of the new candidacy challenge rules only apply to presidential and vice presidential candidates, since HRS 12.8 already contains rules for challenging the nomination of other candidates. We'll adjust the language to be in alignment with the state Supreme Court's ability to assume original jurisdiction over election challenges. We'll adjust the language to clarify that the same issue cannot be raised multiple times. In other words, in that a person cannot strategically make a candidacy challenge at a later date when it reasonably could have raised it earlier, so you can't just bring it up over and over again. Okay, that's the recommendation. As a way of background, I did contact the Office of Elections months ago and asked them what they would do if someone tried to challenge anybody, but the presidential candidate in particular, and they said that they would not decide it themselves, that they wanted a court order. We don't have a process currently for determining this particular situation. It does not apply simply to former President Trump. But there are others who it could apply to as well. Whether the Supreme Court decides in the next couple of weeks that Trump can be on the ballot or not, I still think it would be prudent to have a process for adjudicating these claims, because the Office of Elections won't do it themselves. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2392 with amendments. Chair Rhodes?
Aye.
Vice Chair will be voting no. Senator Elefante?
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Reservations.
Senator Awa?
No.
Measure passes.
Thank you very much. That is the end of this agenda. We're adjourned. Okay, moving on to the next agenda.
You guys passing the bill?
I voted no. Did you hear my vote? You're welcome.
Okay, the 9:40. Okay, please. We have other agendas to deal with. We passed it out. The recommendation was adopted. The bill moves forward. Okay. Next up is SB 3274 relating to property forfeiture, restricts civil asset forfeiture cases to cases involving the commission of a felony offense where the property owner has been convicted of an underlying felony offense. First up on
just voted for communists.
Come down. Excuse me, can I just ask one question?
I'm sorry, we're in a, this is a hearing. We're having another hearing on SB 3274. So we're going to move on with our hearing. First up,
I could not hear who voted what way. If you show me your hand, then I can see who voted yes.
Do you want me to tell?
That's all I want.
This is short recess, Chair. Short
So
recess.
I can see, please.
All right, going back into the 9:45 on SB 3274. First up on SB 3274 is Ben Lowenthal for the Public Defender.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's a tough act to follow. Good morning. My name is Ben Lowenthal. I'm at the Public Defender's Office. We'll stand on our testimony. However, I will say that we are in strong support for any attempt to reform our civil asset forfeiture process. This is a reasonable regulation, and I believe based on our testimony and the testimony from the prosecutors and the attorney generals, it is fairly clear that we are dealing with money and property taken by citizens that is used to fund their own offices. I think they make that very clear in their testimony. I think in any other context with any other government agency, we would flag this as a conflict of interest, and this puts a stop to that. So we applaud this bill's effort to reform a badly needed area in criminal justice. Thank you. I am available for questions.
Great, thank you. Next is Attorney General Ann Lopez on Zoom.
Unfortunately, they're unavailable on Zoom.
Okay, with comments, Kat Brady for Community Alliance on Prisons. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gavin, and members of the committee. Kat Brady testifying in strong support for this measure, the Community Alliance on Prisons. We really believe this law definitely needs reform. I think Ben Lowenthal really brought up why this has been a problem. So we really hope that you pass this measure, and we're glad that the person would have to be a felon rather than just somebody who wants their car or whatever.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carrie Ann Shirota for ACLU of Hawaii. Good morning.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Carrie Ann Shirota, Policy Director on behalf of ACLU of Hawaii. As you know, we strongly support this measure. We've supported it for many years, and just taking a step back in time and history, this legislative body some years ago passed this reasonable reform. As noted in our testimony, outside evaluators have looked at states who have civil asset forfeiture laws, and we were graded a D-. There's clearly room for improvement, and this bill codifies that. I know you'll hear from law enforcement in their testimony. They've made comments how this is necessary and an effective tool against crime. But on the other hand, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights calls it legalized theft. Let's stop the legalized theft, uphold the constitutional rights, and pass this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nikos Leverance, DPFH Board President, Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii. Good morning again.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. Nikos Leverance with Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii. My personal history with asset forfeiture reform goes way back to my days as an advocate in California, where they implemented a very successful reform measure, SB 443. It was my pleasure to walk the halls and engage some of the Republican candidates, office holders there, on the need for civil asset forfeiture reform with Institute for Justice, with Brad Cates, who headed the Asset Forfeiture Reform Division during the Reagan administration. And we're also very proud to have the support of the Heritage Foundation, which provided very, very clear information on the need for reform. The need for reform is clear to most everyone, but those executive agencies who have effectively operated without meaningful legislative oversight, clear operational parameters, or any meaningful public reporting requirements for over 3 decades. Since 2014, at least 37 states and the District of Columbia have reformed their civil forfeiture laws. 16 states require a conviction in a criminal court to forfeit most or all types of property in civil court, and 4 states, Maine, New Mexico, Nebraska, and North Carolina, have abolished civil forfeiture entirely, and Hawaii should join those states. Mahalo.
Thanks very much. Okay, let's see. Michael Vincent, Deputy Director of Administration, Department of Law Enforcement. Opposition, Benjamin Moskowitz, Police Chief for Hawaii Police Department. Also in opposition, Brooks Bear for Prosecuting Attorney. In opposition, Keldon Walton, Hawaii County Office Prosecuting Attorney. In opposition, Maui Prosecutor's Office. In opposition, Rebecca Leakey for Kauai Prosecutors. Also in opposition, Ted Kefalis, testifying for Grassroots Institute of Hawaii in support. John Bickle, Americans for Democratic Action, in support. Richard Singh, also, Vice President for Hawaii Association of Criminal Defense Attorneys, in support. Lynn Mass, sound support, and Michael Older with comments. That's everybody who signed up on this bill. Does anyone else wish to testify? Please, come on up.
Good morning, Chair Rose, Vice Chair Gabbard, members of the committee. I'm Deputy Attorney General Steve Bumanlug. The department has provided comments in this written testimony, and just to summarize, with the amendments proposed in the bill, there could be a point where the counties are at an operating loss, and they may be discouraged from submitting asset forfeiture petitions. And also with the requirement of the felony conviction, there could be lengthy storage requirements that could lead to more costs and a delayed funding for the department to support its asset forfeiture program. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to testify on SB 3274? 3274. Seeing none, members, questions?
Attorney General.
Oh, go ahead, Senator San Buenaventura.
Okay. So for those who know the history of this bill, basically, it was my resolution that created the 2018 report auditing showing that the Attorney General did not pursuant to the original bill allowing for asset forfeiture, did not have rules and regulations, and securing some of the monies for drug prevention. Do you know, since then, and that's the reason why Governor Ige vetoed the subsequent civil asset forfeiture bill, the Attorney General did promulgate regulations. But what I want to know is, has there been any, the original law required portion of the funding to go towards drug abuse prevention?
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to know whether or not you folks are actually funding it.
So my understanding is that in the original version of the bill, the 20% was allocated in the bill. But that was not codified into the statute. It remains in the preamble, but it was never codified into Chapter 712A. So if you look into any of the subsections, it's not in there. But if it is the legislature's intent, maybe this would be the opportunity to add that in.
Okay, so none of the, when the regs, when Governor Ige vetoed my bill regarding civil asset forfeiture, it was because the Attorney General was supposed to come up with regs, and the report did point out that there were no monies set aside. So none of the regs ensured that the monies were supposed to be set aside for drug abuse prevention and the like?
That is correct. We did promulgate administrative rules, but because it was not in any subsection in Chapter 712A, it was not incorporated into the administrative rules. So we're willing to work with the legislature to add that in, though.
So the purpose of the original civil asset forfeiture bill to fund these drug abuse programs hasn't been fulfilled for how many, for decades now? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I think we could debate this all day.
Yeah.
And I provided our basis because it's not
Okay.
in any subsection, but we're willing to work on it going forward. And if it's as I mentioned, maybe it could be added to one of the subsections where 20% is provided for drug abuse.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're ready to vote. If everybody's good with voting, let's vote. Recommendation is to pass HB 3274, which restricts civil asset forfeitures to cases involving the commission of a felony offense where the property owner has been convicted of an underlying felony offense. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. The conviction to clarify, to scrub the definition a little bit to indicate that conviction means all the appeals that have been exhausted or the deadline to appeal. The deadline is passed for the appeal. So basically, you can seize the property before that, but you can't dispose of it and take the money. So that's the amendment. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
The chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3274 with amendments. Chair Rhodes?
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Elefante?
Aye with reservations.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Strong aye.
Senator Owa?
No.
Measure passes.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We'll adjourn that agenda. Okay, coming into the 10 o'clock agenda, which is which would establish, this is SB 2381, establishes a comprehensive system of public financing for all candidates seeking election to state and county office in Hawaii. First up for SB 2381 is Candace Park, Deputy Attorney General. Good morning.
Chair, Vice Chair Gabbard, members of the committee. Deputy Attorney General Candace Park, we have submitted our written comments, and in the interest of time, I can just stand on my comments, but I am available for questions.
Great, thank you very much. Next is Kristen Izumi Natal, or Gary Cam, from Campaign Spinning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, members of the committee. We did submit testimony asking for some amendments or just comments. We do support the intent of this bill. The point I want to raise in my testimony is that the position that is being funded is for 2 temporary positions. We would request that those be permanent positions, and that instead of funding the positions through the Hawaii election campaign funds, that the funding be through either the budget or I guess this might need to be worked out with Ways and Means, but through appropriations to the commission rather than to the Hawaii election campaign fund. So in the past, the funding for our office, the expenses did come out of the Hawaii election campaign fund, and by around 2017, 2018, we were about ready to find that there was insufficient funds left in the Hawaii election campaign funds to run the partial public financing program and our office. So in 2018 or 2017, the legislature made the funding under the general fund, the funding of our office, and the special fund was just used to pay for the partial public financing program. So we would like to avoid that situation. So if the funding here for the positions could be not out of the Hawaii election campaign fund, but either out of the budget or by direct appropriation to the Hawaii the campaign spending commission. I don't really know how that works, but it shouldn't come out of the trust fund. We don't want to be back in that position where the office expenses is a drain on the funds to be used to pay for public financing.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Jennifer Kagiwara, council member. I'm totally blanking on which county. Anybody know?
Hawaii County.
Hawaii County.
District 2.
In support. Josh Frost, policy assistant for ACLU. In support. Evan Weber, managing director, testifying for our Hawaii. Also in support. Chris Cofield. Hi, Dim. Oh, I'm sorry, Evan. Go ahead. Come on.
Yeah, I'll just be real quick. Oha mai kako, Evan Weber, here representing the support of our Hawaii's over 36,000 members and supporters across the islands for this transformative legislation. Stand on my written testimony for the most part, but wanted to mahalo the chair and vice chair for hearing the bill and for all of you for hopefully going with the will of the people and supporting this. I know this is a measure that was considered last year and that the committee supported last year. I just want to remind folks that this is something that we have sound policy for. We have the resources to support this as well. It would cost a fraction of our annual budget every year. So it really is a question of priorities. That this is something that is overwhelmingly supported by the public. In addition to the over 3 dozen groups in the Clean Elections Hawaii Coalition, which our Hawaii is a member of, when we've polled this question, as we did in the last election year, 2022, over 74% of voting public of Hawaii said that this is something that they would be more likely to support a candidate if they ran on. So this will help candidates of all stripes and parties if they choose to, run their campaigns with the support of the people and the taxpayers, not with the support of private money influence. So mahalo nui.
Thank you. Next is Chris Cofield, co-chair, Legislative Committee, Democratic Party of Hawaii. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Rhodes and committee members. I'm Chris Caulfield, representing the Democratic Party of Hawaii, speaking in strong support of this bill. In full disclosure, I'm also the office manager for Representative Janae Capella, but I'm burning a couple of vacation hours to express the party's strong support for this measure. I'm the co-chair of the party's legislative committee, which is responsible for managing the party's legislative agenda. And this proposal was by far voted as the top priority this year. It's really only about one thing, putting the people's interest before special interests. Ultimately, a clean elections program is designed with the singular purpose of ensuring that the public's voice isn't silenced by big campaign donors. There are a lot of myths about this proposal that need to be dispelled. Studies show that clean elections programs do not significantly impact the re-election chances of incumbents. Similarly, this program will not allow fringe candidates who represent extremist positions, white nationalists, for example, to suddenly receive thousands of public dollars in campaign assistance. That's why the signature and donation amounts are so high, and they can be made even higher to make absolutely certain that candidates who receive public funding are legitimate. This is about democracy. Just a few days ago, the most recent campaign spending reports were released. Like many people in this room, I poured through many of those reports. As usual, I saw the same high dollar donors funding candidate after candidate, attempting to buy influence, access, and power. The power of government should be held by the public, not the donor class or corporate profiteers. And in passing this bill, we can take a strong step toward the restoration and preservation of the public trust for our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Dawn Moray Webster. Oh, good morning. PhD.
Good morning, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, committee. First of all, I walked into an earlier hearing and it was surreal. I am so grateful to you for having advanced a measure that is intended to keep a 91 times indicted, twice impeached, sexually assault offender off the ballot. I think what you're doing to defend democracy and to defend our system is something that we voters should be grateful for. And this measure that's before us right now is exactly in the same spirit of defending democracy. We all know how much it's under threat. We all know the damage caused by Citizens United. But the truth is local government has the ability to fight back. And this Clean Elections Bill does that. It will help ensure that more people come out from small communities that are underrepresented, that are not seen in where power brokers are. I work with a lot of nonprofits on communications issues, and I know that I've seen real leadership at the grassroots level, people whose value and whose contributions can be multiplied if they were in this building. But they would never run for office because they're so deterred by the fear of not being able to raise enough money. And so public financing will allow us to have a democratic body that is really representative of the kind of community we are. You know, Citizens United opened the floodgates. We all know that. And there's nothing we can do about it right now, but there are things we can do on the local level, and this bill is one of them. So I thank you for having introduced it. I think it's a bill that's much needed at this time, and I hope you will move it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Jonah Minkoff-Zern, Campaign Co-Director for Public Citizens Democracy Campaign.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you so much. Speaking on behalf of Public Citizen and our more than 3,000 members and supporters in Hawaii and 500,000 nationwide, we are in strong support of this bill and stand by my testimony. We see, as the previous testifier said, that we see the significant influence of Citizens United and big money in the political process. Hawaii was the first state of the nation to pass a resolution calling for a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. And along with that sentiment should join many other states that are building this momentum to establish public finance systems, states like Maine, New York, Connecticut, and the list goes on, and many such as Virginia are considering similar bills right now, and New Hampshire. This bill will allow a stronger diversity of candidates, which has been proven in places like New York City, where it's been implemented already, where there's a more economically diverse, more racially diverse, more women candidates, and more LGBTQ candidates who are running for office. And it will also increase participation in the election process, where more people vote, like in Seattle where a program's been implemented, a larger number, there's a higher voter turnout because people feel empowered and they feel the candidates truly represent them and stand for their values and their beliefs. So by creating this program in Hawaii, by building this program, it will make Hawaii better able to represent its citizens and make better decisions to be sure that democracy is upheld and to be sure that the issues that matter to the people are upheld. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Chamber of Sustainable Commerce.
Thank you, Chair Rhodes and committee for giving me this opportunity. Hi. I'm representing over 100 small businesses, and many of our businesses cannot afford to hire professional lobbyists, cannot afford to hire attorneys, individuals who can write maximum contribution contributions to campaigns, so this is something that will help a lot of small businesses seek to be able to participate in this democracy. In addition to supporting this bill, I also ask that there be some amendments because, first of all, I think we need to seriously bring down the maximum amount of contributions because the playing field will still be unequal when certain candidates can bring in an incredible amount of maximum contributions. For a House of Representatives seat, it might be $2,000 per donor. But if we were to limit that to $100 per donor per election, per candidate, that would even the playing field. Also prohibit candidate campaigns from donating to other candidate campaigns. I think that feels strange to kind of launder money through different candidate campaigns to another candidate. And finally, to make sure you allow the Ethics Commission an opportunity to actually have oversight over grant and aid contracts in the same way they do over all other state contracts and expenditures of state funds. If I can go back to the $100 limit, I would say you should also limit a candidate's ability to donate to their own campaign and as well as their family members. If you limit that as well, it'll allow candidates who have of wealth to be able to ask the community for support. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next is Wayne Tanaka for the Sierra Club of Hawaii. Good morning.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Wayne Tanaka with the Sierra Club of Hawaii. We submitted written testimony in support. I'd just like to add that, marginalized communities we know will feel the impacts of the climate crisis sooner and in a much greater degree. And measures like this, as previous testifiers have noted, will help uplift the voices of marginalized communities. Let candidates, spend more time and energy, like hearing their concerns and what they're dealing with, and then hopefully make those, really important critical decisions that we need to build resilience in the face of our climate crisis. And so for that reason, we strongly support this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Brandy Menino, CEO, Hope Services Hawaii, Inc. on Zoom in support. Next is Pa'ele Kiakona, Jordan Ridas and Courtney Lazo for Lahaina Strong, also on Zoom.
They're also unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, in support, Aaron McKean, Legal Counsel for Campaign Legal Center on Zoom.
Hi, good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. My name is Aaron McKean. I am Legal Counsel at Campaign Legal Center. CLC is a nonpartisan nonprofit that works to advance democracy at every level of government. And we strongly support SB 2381 because it does, like other testifiers have noted, it is a program that will increase participation by regular Hawaiians, and it will, ensure that candidates who otherwise wouldn't be able to run for office will be able to have the resources to run competitive campaigns. We've seen that in other public financing programs across the country, and we think SB 2381 is a strong bill that will also provide those benefits for Hawaiians. We did provide written testimony with a number of recommendations to strengthen the bill. And I just want to highlight one of those while also noting two additional recommendations for the committee's consideration. The first one, in our written testimony, we did discuss including supplemental grants. This is an idea that comes from Maine, the Maine program. In Maine, they updated their program to include supplemental grants, right? After you get your primary grant and you've also qualified for your general grant, you might be in a particularly competitive campaign and need supplemental funding. Maine saw a dip in candidate participation in their program until they included a supplemental grant option for folks to raise more qualifying contributions and then, qualify for those supplemental funds, within the confines of the program. And that was a way to strengthen that program, and candidate participation rebounded. Two other things I want to flag for consideration are, including a requirement for candidates to participate in public debates. And then the other is a restriction on, using public funds to pay family member businesses.
Thank you very much. Your time's expired. Thanks for being here. Next is Maki Moranoi for Hulipak. Oh, I'm sorry. Christopher Dean, Recycle Hawaii, Clean the Pacific.
Hello, committee members. Thank you for hearing this bill. My name is Christopher Dean. I'm president of Recycle Hawaii, and the board of directors strongly supports this measure, as well as Clean the Pacific. I stand on my written testimony, but I would also like to make an observation. The Supreme Court, said that money was free speech, but they didn't say anything about how it's prejudicial. And I'm for truth and justice and equity, and this measure is definitely a great step forward. In fact, I was thinking, is this a trick question or something? It didn't seem like it's real, but I really am encouraged. If you guys pass this, I'll be really impressed, and I will jump for joy. Thank you very much for hearing my testimony. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Next is Maki Moranoi for Hulipak on Zoom.
They're unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
In support, next is Nico Leverance. Good morning again.
What a busy morning here. Hello, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, and members of the committee. My name is Nikos Leverance, testifying in my own capacity. I had the privilege of serving on the Speaker's Commission to Improve Standards of Conduct in 2022. And as our CISC final report noted, should additional resources become available, the legislature should be bold and seek additional permanent funding sources for future elections. Experiences with Hawaii County Council elections in 2010 and 2012 indicate that implementation of a fully financed program can be successful with adequate funding. As a general matter, I believe that the state should make a broader and deeper commitment to voter access, transparency, disclosure, and accountability in its electoral processes, including closer regulation of broadcast advertisements, and perhaps even looking at the possibility of a top two primary, as is the case in my former home state of California. I recognize that the House Majority Leader indicated that there would be some additional funding given to members of the other party, and that we can obviate and kind of meet some of those concerns by also moving toward a top two primary. Mahalo.
Thanks very much. Next is Dave McCluskey in person. In support.
Sorry, they're available on Zoom.
Okay, go ahead, please. Good morning.
David McCluskey. I'm the former state representative in Connecticut that was on the governor's campaign finance working group. I've submitted written testimony. Just wanted to highlight a couple things. I've run both as a non-publicly financed candidate and a publicly financed candidate. Let me tell you that it's a lot easier and nicer to be a publicly financed candidate. I'll give you a concrete example. My successor in the legislature sent out an email on January 30th, and as of today, she's almost qualified for public financing. So a little more than a week, she's qualified. So that means she can spend her time banging on doors, going to events instead of trying to raise money. When I was a non-publicly financed candidate, I spent an inordinate amount of time in my first race in particular, and then I actually had a competitive race in my third election, and it's very challenging. I wanted to say in Connecticut, as of our last election cycle, 2022, our participation rate's about 90% of the candidates. And even the legislators, when I was in the legislature who didn't want to do public financing, after 1 or 2 election cycles, they're now on board. There has not been a wholesale ouster of incumbents since we've adopted it. I don't want to oversell it to the members of the committee. It's not a complete panacea for addressing equity issues and diversity in our legislature. We don't have 50% of our legislators are women, but it's a big step in that direction. And I just urge you, the committee, to develop a system that makes sense for your state. And thank you for your time.
Thanks. Thank you very much for participating. Really appreciate it. Next is Kioni Shizuma, also on Zoom.
They're unavailable on Zoom, Chair.
In support, Janine Johnson on Zoom.
They're also unavailable.
Also in support, Kelly Nishimura.
They're unavailable as well.
In support, Sonia Corrigan.
And they're unavailable as well.
In support, Christine A. Wood for Public Citizen.
They're here on Zoom, Chair.
Good morning.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to testify here today. I'm here representing Public Citizen, a nonpartisan organization working to strengthen U.S. democracy. I'm here today to vocalize our support on behalf of our thousands of members at Hawai'i for SB 2381. In order to make progress on the key issues impacting communities, from healthcare, housing costs, racial justice, the environment, and more, our electoral system must serve the people rather than the interests of just the rich and powerful. Right now, the current play-to-play system gives unchecked power to a wealthy few at the expense of Hawai'i residents. This program, however, would curb the influence of corporate special interests by making it possible for candidates to seek elected office without relying on ultra-wealthy campaign contributors. Rather, it would incentivize candidates to engage directly with their constituents by requiring them to meet a minimum threshold of small dollar donations. Public financing programs like the one detailed in SB 2381 give political power to everyday people, boosting their influence and voice in our elections, and ensures that wealthy donors do not have an outsized influence in elections and the priorities of lawmakers. Poll after poll shows that voters are concerned about the role money plays in our elections. A Pew Research poll in 2023 found that a majority of voters across party lines felt that campaign donors, lobbyists, and special interest groups have too much influence in our elections. Across the country, municipalities and states are moving towards passing and implementing various forms of public financing like this one. Altogether, over 14 states and more than 20 localities provide an option for candidates to participate in systems that make it possible for people of average means to run for office without relying on wealthy donors. Many of these programs have been in place for decades, including in Maine and Connecticut, which resemble what is proposed in this legislation. With this program, Hawai'i has an opportunity to lead the nation by setting an example of what a truly inclusive and representative democracy looks like. This bill would restore trust in government by providing a path for candidates to seek elected office through constituent support.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Thanks for hanging on for so long.
Thank you.
Okay, that's everybody who signed up for in-person or on Zoom. We had 250 others in support, 9 opposed, and 1 comment was a total breakdown. Anyone else here or on Zoom wish to testify? Come on up. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, members. My name is Cameron Hurt. I'm here today in my capacity as Program Manager of Common Cause to urge that this body vote in favor of this bill. About 250 years ago, a group of men who looked vastly different than most of us got together and committed to a great experiment in democracy. Something profound that they did, though, is that they tasked their prosperity to keep that democracy going and to keep expanding it and adapting to it as they saw fit to form a more perfect union. This bill does exactly that. Apart from that and our own responsibility that we have to ensure that our democracy keep growing and keep being robust, it also sets up a way for even incumbents to not have to worry about campaign financing and raising monies. It allows for them to be with their constituents. It allows for them to deal with problems in their community without having to be beholden to the biggest pocketbook in the room or wallet. You've heard from many speakers today who've talked about how it can increase diversity and how it does increase diversity. Many studies show that, including one from the Brandon Institute. For us, when we say increase diversity, it looks a little bit different though from people on the continent. And I think we got to put that name to it. What this does is it recommits ourselves to our Native Hawaiian population, and that should be of utmost importance to us all. We know that these types of programs allow for disenfranchised populations to participate in their elections and in the candidate process. For us, again, our most disenfranchised group is Kanaka. And it is important that we do everything that we can to safeguard this group and advance their standing within our own democracy. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Anyone else wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members' questions? Senator San Buenaventura.
Campaign spending, please come up. I have a couple questions. It's got to be fast because we have session coming up. How many people have taken advantage of the current campaign public financing?
So in 2022, it was 16.
And is that mostly county council and?
There's state senate, state house, Hawaii council, Maui council.
Okay. And how many, if this is passed, how many do you expect will be able to take advantage?
I don't know. I mean, there's other considerations here. There's going to be the minimum qualifying contributions that you have to consider. So,
which you don't require that right now, the minimum
we do, but it's a different amount.
So because you asked for I'm sorry, I apologize for talking over you. I'm just looking at the time because we still got to vote too. The 30 million you folks asked, is that based upon assuming the same number of candidates apply for it? I don't know if it's enough. That's the reason I'm asking.
I don't think so. I mean, when you do the math, if you look at the maximum amounts allowed, the 30 million matches to 2 candidates in every race.
Okay, so assuming 2 candidates every race. I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to admit that I used public financing when I first ran and then went for the re-election. But I also noticed that there are problematically some reasons why, like when Kai Kahele ran, he couldn't take advantage of it even though he wanted to. My question is seed money versus qualifying contributions. And I noticed the seed money determination is before the declaration of intent and the qualifying contribution is after. Why can't the seed money contributions be used for qualifying contributions? Because I think that was the problem with Kai Kahele. He got small money donations early on, and that was the problem I had early on.
So I think you want to keep separate your spending on whether you're a viable candidate from qualifying contributions to earn the amount of public financing. But seed money can be used, right? If you don't turn it over, it's just deducted from the amount of monies that you can get. So,
but you can't use it to match, though. I mean, that's yeah. So, is there a policy reason? I mean,
so well, under the comprehensive program, you raise the minimum qualifying contributions, and you turn that into the state, but you get the maximum amount
under this bill.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry to testify, but the policy idea is that to get those $5 contributions, especially in the big races, you're going to need some money because you're not going to be able to just knock on doors. So that's why the seed money comes before the qualifying contributions.
But it can't be used for qualifying.
But it can't be used for you can't say, okay, I got $10,000 in seed money, therefore I have to get that many fewer $5 contributions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the question is, why is there a policy contribution? I mean, why is there a policy that prevents that? Because it seems to me like, especially for somebody who's running you, I mean, like, I'm going to give an example like Kai Kahela and myself. When I first started running, we didn't know the procedures. And we thought all we needed to do was come up with these minor amounts of money beforehand, and we find out we cannot use it to get the qualifying contribution. I mean, we cannot use it a dual purpose to get the qualifying contribution. Is there a policy reason that prevents us from this dual use?
I don't know of the policy reason. I just think that it's to keep that spending, what you spend on seeing if you're viable, separate from the qualifying contributions that you need to earn.
Okay, so, okay, thank you.
So Senator Sin-Buenaventura, I would say, yes, there is a policy reason. The policy reason is the $5 contributions are to determine whether or not you are viable in the community. So if you're bringing in big bucks, relatively big bucks outside from the seed money, then you still can't tell whether you're viable in the community because you haven't gone out to your community to get the $5 contributions. So it's not, they're just not the same thing. It's the idea of the $5 contributions is to show that you've got community support. The seed money is to help you get the $5 contributions.
Okay, so I mean, I guess the example is,
it's just
we asked for these monies before, and because we also want to know whether or not we're viable, and then we can't use it to get the matching funds later on because it can't be used for dual purpose. It's difficult to ask twice when you are in a rural poor community. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, members? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and vote. If since we're supposed to be out of here, since we were supposed to have been out of here 20 minutes ago, the recommendation is to go ahead and pass with amendments. We'll replace all instances of the term sub-fund with the term sub-account per the Attorney General's recommendation, and we'll edit section 11L to refer specifically to the sub-account rather than only referring to the Hawaii Election Campaign Fund generally. And then on page 4, line 19 to 21, we'll clarify that the proper name of the program is the Comprehensive Public Financing Program. Then on page 13, we'll make it consistent with payment methods. We'll allow for an electronic form to be used for providing contributors information, that form to be provided by the CSC, so they can use either a hard copy form or electronic form. And then we'll accept campaign spending amendment number 6, which on page 25, line 13 to 16, just changes it to, in either case, candidates must return excess funds within 30 days of the notice being submitted. I think that's almost a technical amendment, but maybe not quite. And I hear what campaign spending is saying on the staff positions. I think for the moment, I'm going to leave it the same. The bill does go to Ways and Means next, so they can talk about it there if they feel like it. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2381 with amendments. With all members present, are there any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
All right, thank you very much. We're adjourned.